Today, March 13, 2025, U.S. financial markets are grappling with a mix of relief and lingering uncertainty. The S&P 500 and Nasdaq ended higher yesterday, March 12th, buoyed by cooler-than-expected inflation data that calmed some nerves after a sharp sell-off earlier in the week. Reuters reported that the U.S. Consumer Price Index, CPI, showed signs of cooling, offering a counterbalance to fears of runaway inflation spurred by President Donald Trump's escalating tariff policies. However, gains were tempered as the Dow remained jittery, with investors wary of Trump's latest trade moves. Posts on X, like those from Fastbullen, highlight a U.S. budget deficit hitting $1.1 trillion, amplifying concerns about fiscal sustainability amid these trade wars. Trump's tariff agenda took a bold step today, with threats of further levies against the EU and Canada, who've begun retaliating against existing U.S. tariffs. Reuters notes that steel coils at Canada's ArcelorMittal Dofasco mill symbolize the stakes, as these measures unsettle investor confidence. The Bank of Canada's decision yesterday to cut rates by 25 basis points, reported by Reuters, reflects broader economic ripples, with Governor Tiff Macklem admitting they considered holding steady, but opted to ease amid tariff-induced pressures. Stateside, U.S. corporate bond spreads hit their widest in 6 months yesterday, per Reuters, signaling recession fears as borrowing costs rise. On a micro level, some companies are defying the gloom. Nordea Bank's purchase of carbon removal credits, noted by Bloomberg, hints at a growing niche in sustainable finance, while the private credit sector, worth over $61 billion, continues to attract attention as a haven for yield-seeking investors. Yet the overarching narrative is one of caution. Trump's tariff focus is driving up costs, stoking inflation risks, and leaving Wall Street questioning how long this bounce can last. U.S. political news politically, Washington is a hive of activity. Today, President Trump is hosting NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte at the White House this afternoon, per ABC News, a meeting that underscores tensions over trade and defense spending as Trump's administration pushes its America First agenda. This follows his Oval Office sit-down yesterday with Irish Prime Minister Michelle Martin, where tariffs likely loomed large. Trump's influence is also evident in a House Republican move on March 11th, reported by Reuters, to block Congress from challenging his tariffs, cementing his grip on trade policy as a government shutdown deadline looms tomorrow, March 14th. The administration's domestic moves are equally bold. Trump's recent order to create a cryptocurrency strategic reserve from seized Bitcoin, signed late last week and covered by NPR, is gaining traction today with reports of officials exploring budget-neutral expansion plans. Critics call it a risky gamble, but supporters see it as a futuristic edge. Meanwhile, the Department of Education's final mission layoffs, noted by Reuters yesterday, align with Trump's pledge to dismantle it, sparking fierce debate over education's future. On a human note, the FBI's expanding search for Sudiksha Konanki, a 20-year-old American student missing since March 6 in the Dominican Republic, dominates headlines. CBS News reports authorities are intensifying efforts at the beach resort where she was last seen, with the case gripping public attention. And in a cosmic aside, anticipation builds for tonight's bloodworm moon lunar eclipse, offering a brief respite from political churn. World news globally, March 13th brings a mix of breakthroughs and unease. In Ukraine, Russia is mulling a U.S. proposed 30-day ceasefire, per Hindustan Times, following Kyiv's acceptance yesterday of resumed U.S. military aid. This tentative de-escalation lifts spirits and the euro briefly, but tariff fallout keeps markets cautious. In Syria, the government's halt to military action against Assad loyalists, noted earlier this week, holds for now, though analysts doubt its durability. Europe faces disruption today after yesterday's discovery of a WA twin bomb near Paris's Gare du Nord, per NPR. The find halted Eurostar trains to London and services to northern France, stranding travelers and highlighting infrastructure vulnerabilities. Across the channel, the UK probes a mysterious ship collision off its coast, adding to regional tension. In Asia, Pakistan's Prime Minister visited Balochistan today, per Hindustan Times, to meet survivors and commandos after militants hijacked a train yesterday, underscoring security challenges. China's economic woes deepen, with Reuters reporting Gazprom's export arm in St. Petersburg fading as Europe shuns Russian gas, a shift that's hitting Beijing's energy allies. Al Jazeera notes China's tightened trade rules amid Canadian tariff volatility, while deflationary pressures persist. At home. Meanwhile, Hong Kong's conviction of a social worker for rioting, reported by Reuters.
In the Americas, the Dominican Republic case of the missing U.S. student draws international eyes, with the FBI's role amplifying pressure. Argentina braces for 23.3% inflation in 2025, while Brazil tightens fintech oversight amid laundering fears. On a tech front, Foxconn's new language model launched yesterday promises supply chain ripples, per Bloomberg's earlier coverage. Wrap-up. As of March 13, 2025, the U.S. financial scene teeters between inflation relief and tariff-driven fears, with markets and policymakers on edge. Politically, Trump's trade and crypto gambits dominate, while a missing student and a lunar eclipse capture the public's gaze. Globally, ceasefire hopes clash with regional disruptions, from Paris to Pakistan, amid economic strain in China and beyond. It's a day of high stakes and fragile balance, with the world watching closely.